Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Beyond the Barclay with me, Jez Davies. I'm joined, of course, with Morgan. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well. It's been a lovely spring week so far, and it's lightened my mood somewhat. So it's sunny.
Good. How are those flowers going in your garden? I know you're a bit of a botanist, so
I'm not. It's house plants and mixed results at the moment. I'm slowly killing one, I think.
never mind. I'll just get another one. But yeah, anyway, so I'm absolutely delighted this week, Morgan. We're joined with two girls from our Norwich City Women's team. So I'm going to introduce you both. So Lauren Tomlinson and Ceri, you're going to have to help me with your surname. Is it Flye?
Yeah, Flye.
Excellent. Girls, thank you so much for jumping on and joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to both me and Morgan. If you'd just like to perhaps introduce yourselves, perhaps how long you've played for Norwich City, what positions you play in, and go from there, I guess. So start with Lauren.
Yeah, so I'm Lauren. I'm mainly known as Tomo. So If you hear that on the pitch, that's who I am. I've been at the club 2 years and I play mainly at left back, but I can play anywhere on the left.
Okay.
And then I'm Ceri, and then I've been at Norwich for 3 years, and I'm 22 and I'm a centre half.
Excellent. And I guess obviously playing for Norwich, we as we mentioned before we came on, we talked to Andy, and we know it's not your full-time gig. So perhaps talk us through what you do for a living as well.
So I work as a digital marketer at a small firm in Thetford, and then I also do some freelancey marketing work for another company as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then my life's a little bit simpler. I'm at uni at Norwich, so that takes up most of my time, and then I just work at the local pub in the village. Which is actually.
You got to plug that pub now. You realise what's the pub?
Yeah. It's only a little local pub. It's the Three Horseshoes in Barrow, but it's just nice, quiet, and I just earn a little bit of money then for my holidays in the spare time.
Nice. What do you study?
PE.
Oh, cool. It's kind of related to what you do, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of interlinks, I find.
Yeah, that's great. So we've got two parts of defence then. I used to play left back a lot when I was a kid, so I love defence.
I mean, I can't compare because I was a all-out target man, centre forward, bit of a brute. If you can think Grant Holt, Dean Ashton type player, that was me. So
You haven't met Jez yet, but he's how tall are you? You're quite tall, aren't you?
6'4", yeah.
Goliath.
There we go. So I guess perhaps we should jump into some of the questions, and we'll come to you first, Lauren. What has been the biggest challenge you faced this season, and how did you overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge for me this season was first game of the season. I broke my wrist.
Oh, no.
So I spent 6 to 8 weeks out. Obviously, that's not the start that you want to your start to your season. So obviously we overcome it we have amazing staff at the ground. So we've got Will in strength and conditioning, and now we did have Jill, and now we've got Robin in physio. So we just did loads of rehab bits and then just remained in the team, and all the girls were great. There's a lot of competition within the team, so that comeback isn't easy. But yeah, it's just working hard and then finding your feet again.
Brilliant. How about you, Ceri?
Mine's probably a little bit different because luckily, touch wood, this year I've been pretty injury free. But so mine's probably as a collective. Before Christmas, as a group, we struggled. We went on a few games without a win, and we dropped significantly in the table. I think before Christmas we were 8th, so that was quite a difficult time for us. We hadn't been in that kind of position, and a lot of the girls didn't really know how to act, how to kind of be around each other, because it's just difficult. We were second, we were flying high, and then just to gradually fall. And then before Christmas, like I said, we were 8th, but since Christmas we had a little break, and then our regroup's been brilliant. The girls have been brilliant since the start of the year, and now obviously we're second again in the table. And you look, since Christmas, we've won all our games apart from one. So I think that as a group we bounced back so well, and I think that was probably my toughest moment, is how to deal with like the decline in performances, and then how to get yourself back on track, and then obviously the team back on track as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, how did you kind of, I suppose from a psychological point of view as a group, how did you come together?
Well, we have these sessions with this lady called Floss who works on like our mindset and stuff. So we had a few sessions with more or less just an open floor, just an open like way to discuss, talk about our feelings. And sometimes it's just nice just to have like no coaches in the room and just to vent about how you're feeling and how we think things are going. And then I think that was matched with some time off over Christmas, which is needed. You know, like you said, we're still balancing jobs and a lot of the girls are still in college. So that's difficult to have that time away from the environment. And I think we had a couple of weeks over Christmas where we just weren't in the football environment. And that was just a nice little reset. So then when we came back in the new year, we had a fresh mindset and then we were ready to kind of start again almost. And I think, you know, that's proven that we needed that little break.
Yeah,
I think as well, you had, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had a fair few changes in the playing personnel in the summer, and not to mention the fact you had a new coach. And I think sometimes, you know, from the outside looking in, sometimes that's difficult to adjust to early doors. But it sounds like you've really, you know, from everything you've both said, it sounds like you've really kind of got to grips with it this season, and I think that should probably stand you in good stead moving forward into next season potentially. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that obviously we have quite a tight-knit group, so any players that come in, they're welcomed with open arms. So I think the gel happens really, really naturally. Andy said when he first came in, it wasn't his ability that was going to be the problem. It was actually trying to get in with us as a team because we were so close-knit. But I think we were in a good position last year, and obviously we narrowly lost out on promotion. I think we're in an even better situation this year to then aim for promotion next season. Obviously, as a group, everybody knows that is our ultimate aim, and I think that everyone is committed enough to know and put in the effort to get us there. And I think we have such a perfect setup to enable us to do that and then succeed within Tier 3 as well.
Brilliant. That sounds really good. I think, Morgan, if I pass over to you for the next question, please.
Yeah, no problem. So how do you personally prepare for match days, both physically and mentally? So either one of you can go first.
So my mentally to prepare for a game, I in the morning try not to think about the game at all until I'm on my way there. I try to completely disconnect, enjoy my normal mornings, and then fully get into game mode once I arrive to the game. And then physically, I don't really do a lot in terms of like pre-warm up, but I do quite a lot of like foam rolling and stretching, as I find that really helps me.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably say I'm quite different. I'd say before a match, I think about the game a lot. So normally, like, I'll take myself out on a walk before on a Sunday morning and just get myself in the zone. But I get myself in the zone quite early on. So yeah, I do a lot of, even the night before, I think about the game probably too much. But football's already all I think about the weekend. But then similar physically, it's just stretching and things, making sure you're ready for the game. Sometimes I'll go on a little bit of a run to loosen those legs up the day or two before. But yeah, apart from that, not too much.
Do you watch a lot of football, both men and women? Obviously, the games are, as we know, are on nowadays. Do you watch a lot of football, and does that help you, would you say, or does that sort of hinder you if you're sort of there watching it and it's kind of reminding you a little bit of the game that you're going to be playing?
I watch basically any football game I can, to be
Brilliant.
fair. I've always, when I grew up, my dad is a massive football fan, so I obviously growing up was mainly men's football, so I've watched men's football since I was very young, and you know I love it. But I think it's brilliant. I think especially as a defender, when I watch football, it helps me read the game so much better, and I find that when I pick up cues like off the ball, out of possession, it's a lot from watching football. I just find it can help so many elements, especially, you know, like I said, like a lot of the way I play is I don't even have the ball. So sometimes it's when you watch the football, it just helps you so much.
And I think you're right, isn't it? Sorry, Morgan, I was just about to say, I think you're right there. It's Ceri, right, speaking now?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ceri, I think you're right, because I think, even in any form of the game, knowing what to do out of position can be so key, because if a ball gets played over the top and all of a sudden you're not, in the right position in that sort of defensive line, then that could really be key. So I think you're right. I think having that kind of knowledge and almost, knowledge base of where to position yourself must be so key.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Morgan, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just kind of interested, Lauren, with what you said about you not thinking about the game, as it were. Why do you do that out of interest?
So myself and my fiance both play for Norwich. So Shannon Shaw, one of our strikers, who obviously also plays for us. So it's really important for us, because we're around the Norwich girls so much and we're in the Norwich environment, that we actually take the time that we do have to ourselves. Because obviously we are very busy. We both work 9 to 5s, and then we're obviously at football. So those mornings and then those evenings are really our time that we try to switch off from football, just to give ourselves that little respite before going back into a busy week or a busy game, and being able to fully put our focus into the girls and the squad and the game on that day. It's not always been the case, but as we've got busier, that's kind of been our vow of something that we would do, just to kind of give ourselves the break that we need before that.
The mental headspace, because I think you can get into that, and it can kind of almost be a little bit like burnout in certain respects if you're constantly switched on, as it were. And like you said, you've got so much other things going on outside. I can sort of see why you would try and zen out, as it were. No, I just find it really interesting. I try to do a daily meditation myself in the morning, 10 minutes or whatever. I've only just recently started doing it, and it does help, having a little bit of headspace. So no, I was just really curious.
No, obviously it's easier to do it on home games, because obviously we need to leave later, but on away games that obviously becomes slightly more difficult, because we're leaving at 8-9 in the morning. So but yeah, wherever we can, that's kind of my ethos, that I'll only start to worry or stress about the game up until those moments arriving at the ground, and then fully immersing myself in that experience, seeing the fans, getting into the headspace of the warm-up, seeing the physio, seeing the girls dancing in the change rooms, those things. And they're the kind of pre-match routines that I try to get myself into, just to give myself that little, almost a gradual increase of mentality into the game, and then be fully immersed by kickoff.
Yeah, I just find it really fascinating, this sort of psychology behind that kind of thing. Like you said, you gradually sort of immerse yourself in things. Yeah, it's just really cool.
Definitely. So next question is, what do you think is the next big step for women's football, and how can clubs like Norwich help drive progress? And I guess if we go to Ceri first with this one.
When I looked at that question, I thought that's quite difficult to answer, because obviously we're very lucky that we're affiliated with the men's team, because a lot of clubs don't get that luxury, and obviously we get a lot of support from Norwich. But I would just say just exposure and just more opportunities. Again, I say we're very lucky. Obviously, I'm playing at Carrow Road I've been here 3 years, and I think I've played at Carrow Road about 4 or 5 times then at the end of this year. And I just think that in itself is a huge privilege, that, we've got some girls in the team like Tash and Smithy, who have been at the club for 10 or so years. And, I've been at the club 3 years, and we've been given similar opportunities. So I think definitely the drive in the women's game over the last few years has been brilliant. But I would just say just exposure, and just trying to gain as much support as you can, because obviously support and viewers are so important to just drive the women's game. And we've seen that in the Nest. 3 years ago when I signed for Norwich, the Nest had a good support considering the level we play at, but now we get at the Nest is just about 350, 400 people every week, and I just think that in itself is brilliant.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's gone from strength to strength all the way through. I think I always remember going to watch a women's match, which was actually the FA Cup final. It was Arsenal versus Bristol City Academy, and it was if you can believe it was at Doncaster Rovers Stadium, and that wasn't even full. Only in Doncaster Rovers, there must be about 4,000 or 5,000 there. But you think nowadays, and this is only going back probably no more than 10, 15 years ago. And you think nowadays that FA Cup final was played at Wembley in front of a full house. So I mean, it's come on leaps and bounds already. But I think you're right. I think at level, tier 3, I think those numbers are showing, and that the interest in that level of football, I think, is there, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you think that it also helps that it's sort of an organic growth, and that Norwich is it's organically growing and supporting, rather than just all of a sudden throwing loads of money into it and it just exploding? Do you see what I'm saying? I think there's more of an appreciation from fans of an organic kind of growth in the game.
Yeah, I think if they just chuck loads of money into it, I think you'd find like a spike in interest.
Yeah.
To start with, but then I think that would drop off. But yeah, like you said, like over the years, it's been a gradual thing. Like obviously, when I've been at the club for 3 years now, the first year we trained at Colney once a week, and then that went up to twice a week, and then like we just get more and more like benefits. Like now we can use the recovery hub, and we couldn't use that the first year I was there. So it's just year on year, everything's getting better. And I just think as that progresses gradually, as just so many things through the club, I think then the supporters are there from the start, rather than if they chuck loads of money into it, you get people just want to be nosy, see what it's like. But then I think the interest would fall off because they're not been at the beginning of the journey like the majority of the fans at the Nest have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think we brought this up a few times on the previous podcast, but the more that I've done this with Jez co-hosting this podcast, the more I realise just how integral Norwich City as a football club is to the wider community, and how much it means to such a broad range of fans. I mean, I obviously I can't speak for any other clubs in the country, but I feel like the women's team is really well placed in Norwich because it's such a hub and it has such a meaning to the local community.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you can see that. Like I said, like before, I was at a club in Cambridgeshire, and you can just see the difference. But the community in Norwich is huge, and like you look at the fans, and they're invested in not just the women's team, the men's team, and then obviously CSF. Like there's a lot of interlinks within Norwich itself, and it's brilliant to see. Like we have a lot of some of the girls that work for Norwich as well, so there's just so many links within the club that bring everyone so close together, and it is just nice to see on a Sunday that you get so many fans that come in, week out, support you, and they've supported us. Before I was at Norwich, I know the girls struggled with a relegation battle. They've supported them through that, and now we're going through a promotion battle, and they're supporting us through that. And I just think it's, that's brilliant to see that journey.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the word, isn't it? Journey.
Yeah, 100%. I think so. So just tracking the same question across to, I think it was Ceri answered first, so now Lauren.
Yeah, I think a lot of the major points have kind of been covered there. Myself and Ceri used to play for the Cambridge team before, so me and Ceri have actually played with each other for probably about 8 years now. And we come for that club probably didn't have a lot of money, so we used to have to pay to play, and like I created the program, and there was like the standard within the same tier 4 level in comparison to where they were and then moving to Norwich is actually massive. And I think the main thing is probably just the equality across all women's teams, to have the facilities, to be able to have the money, to be able to like get all the things for the girls in the kind of equivalent to the men's game. Obviously, I know that Andy speaks about the gap in pay and all the things that we do in additional to what like other than football. And I think the pay gap is obviously massive, but like Ceri said, that comes with increased viewers, increased exposure. But the game has grown, like since the Euros, the game has grown like exponentially. So it's so big. We've just tried to get the Women's Champions League final tickets in Lisbon, and we've been really lucky to get some, but those tickets like on the first run were sold out so quick, and you would have never got that like 5 years ago. You would have never got a sold out Women's Champions League game. And I think the next 5 years for women's football is massive, and I think it will continue to grow. Like Brighton, for example, they've just shown that have said that they're building their women team like their own facility, and like that in itself is obviously a massive step in the right direction. And I think a lot of clubs are kind of thinking about following suit and things like that, but Norwich as a whole, you can see that all the senior management and the people that are within the club really do want the women's team to succeed. We have the infrastructure to do so, and it doesn't feel like from our point of view as players that there's anyone kind of preventing that at the moment. Like they just want all of us to succeed. They want to give us everything like possible to make, like, give us the best opportunity to succeed. So I think in terms of what is the big step is it is just exposure, and it is just getting us, like, even for like Norwich, getting us more games at Carrow Road, getting us more people to the Nest each week. Like we do have such a fantastic fan group actually, and they do really support us, and they might not be potentially the loudest crowd in the league, but they are definitely the most dedicated. They are definitely the most like understanding and thoughtful, and we just know that wherever we go, they'll come with us. And I think that's ever more important than being just the loudest. They really do show us that they want us to succeed. They're there, rain, shine, win, loss. And I think that's incredibly important to our growth as a team as well. So I think that all of us, I think there's quite a few things where women's football needs to go, but I think definitely the next 5 years it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think that Morgan will. Obviously, we had Nicole Nichols on a few weeks ago, and Chris, and you know the way they talked about and how passionate they were for the women's game and the team, you know, and it was an absolute pleasure to speak to them, wasn't it, Morgan?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it's kind of segued quite nicely into the next question. So, what does it mean to you to play for Norwich and represent the club? You kind of both touched on it in the previous answer. And then on an individual level, where do you see yourself in the next kind of couple of years? I'll pass that one to Lauren, if that's okay first.
Yeah, that's fine. So I hope that I'll still be playing within the next 5 years. I don't have any intention of leaving Norwich. I think that the plan that, for example, Flo has and Andy has, and the passion to get us promoted, I think that we will succeed in that. And I think within the next 5 years, we will be in a very good place. And I think my progression, I hope to stay with Norwich to do that. I think that we do have the potential to have multiple promotions within that time. And I think I would just be lucky to be able to play for the club within those 5 years.
Ceri?
Oh, sorry. I'll get back to you then. Sorry, I had a moment then. Just similar to Tomo, really. Just I feel lucky and privileged to play for Norwich. Obviously, the team I was before did a lot for my progression through the youth, because I played there for many years, and that's my first women's team. So they were brilliant for that, but for just take me to the next level and to progress me as a player, like Norwich has been brilliant. Like I've been there 3 years, and you know I've learned so much, and I consider myself quite an old player now, but I'm 22. But I think it's because I've developed so much in these 3 years. I feel like I've gained so much experience, so much exposure through Norwich, and you know, just the opportunities and stuff that we get to progress as an individual, not just as a team. Like Andy and we have so many development plans, and then Will works on our fitness and strength and conditioning. Like it's not just about a team performance. Like they work so hard with each individual. Yeah. We recently had like one-to-one meetings with the coach about what we can do to do better, what we've been doing well, and it's just it's so lovely to have so much investment personally as well to your development. So yeah, I'd say like Norwich is such a good setup, and I think over the next 5 years, I agree with Tomo saying that promotion and possibly 2 promotions is definitely something that will be in the plan. And I think, if you can try and be on that journey for as long as possible with the success that Norwich will hopefully have, it would be a privilege, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of follow-up questions I want to ask. I mean, right now it must feel like there's something building. Because to me, as a fan of the club, there feels like there's something in the water. So I don't know how excited you both feel. Do you have to temper? Do you have to temper your expectations? You catch yourself sometimes going, "Blimey, this is a roller coaster."
I find it just exciting. Like, obviously, like I said, we've been really unlucky to not be promoted twice now. And I think that everyone still really wants it. And I think for me, it is just exciting. I think, obviously, last season we had a switch of coach halfway through the season. And then obviously this year we've had a steady flow. So I think that we're so ready for next season to put absolutely everything into it just to get that promotion. But I think just generally, I'm just excited for it. I don't feel nervous. I feel like ready, and I think that's half of the battle. But I think that everything they put in terms of our mindset sessions and the gel that we have in the team kind of helps with that, because I don't think many of us are like anxious or nervous for the promotion or worried about it. It's just kind of something that's almost drilled into us, that it's not an expectation, but it's the drive that everybody like needs to have if we're going to achieve that.
Yeah, because then I suppose it nullifies any kind of like doubts that creep in if you're all driving in the same direction.
Yeah, I think having a common goal within a team is such a massive thing. Like, if there's someone that doesn't potentially want to be promoted or things like that, that's where it can kind of break down, and there's not a single person within the squad that doesn't want to be promoted. So that common goal is so incredibly important for us to achieve that goal.
Yeah. Do you, again, to both of you, do you sometimes think to yourself, "Oh, blimey, I'm a Norwich City Women's team player"? Does that? I'm trying to. Do you ever catch yourself go, "Blimey"?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, as me and Lowell came from quite a small team in Cambridge, like as Lowell said, there wasn't much funding in there wasn't much money, we had to pay to play. To then come to Norwich and you do get all these opportunities and facilities, like, you do feel lucky. And I think, like I said, like the first year when I played, we finished 4th, and that was we achieved really well in that year. Like, the year before, they were in a relegation battle, so to finish 4th was brilliant. And that was almost like we know what we can do now. We can build on it. Like, it wasn't a shock that we finished 4th, but I think people were surprised that we had such a good foundation of players before we had before the investment. So then I think when last year we finished 2nd, it's almost like we know we're capable of promotion. And then this year, obviously, it looks like we're going to narrowly finish 2nd again. And I think like Lowell said, we're definitely ready for that promotion now, and we're definitely driving towards that common goal. And then hopefully next year we're going to be stronger than ever, and then we'll be ready for Tier 3.
Yeah.
Also, just to note, my old nickname was Lol or Lolly, so if it's not Tomo, and that's where that name comes from.
I'm the only one that calls her Lol, because obviously I played with her at Cambridge, so everyone still gets confused. But she'll never be Tomo to me. She'll always be Lol.
We're a person of many nicknames.
Yeah, no one really uses my first name.
Yeah, I used it earlier, and I kind of felt like it was quite formal, but I will continue to do so just because we're on this podcast. Jez, did you have any other follow-up questions?
No, I think the three of you covered it really well. So I think if we was to just perhaps move on, I'm going to miss out the next one if that's okay, and move on to question 6, which is what's been your favourite moment playing for Norwich so far? If we chuck that to, I don't know what name to use. Go with Tomo. Let's go Tomo first.
Yeah, that's fine. So I think in terms of how I felt during the game, it's kind of tied between the two. One's kind of a team thing, and one's it had in my mind as like a personal individual one. But the main one for me is the comeback at Chatham. So the initial us being kind of down in the first half and then coming immediately back out in the second half to win that game, which is a massive thing for us. And just the team morale in that second half is exactly what we needed, the drive from everyone. And then for me, on a personal note, against Bees last weekend, it's the Bees game that we came back in. And then also in that game, obviously, I assisted Ceri for an absolute bullet header.
Brilliant.
So that game as a whole, we showed such passion and such drive to come back after conceding one goal in the first half and being 1-0 down. So to then win the game 2-1, and obviously we scored the first goal in the second half in the first 20 seconds of the game. So we had a game plan. All the girls knew what we needed to do, and then we all came together and essentially won that game because we could all be together. That's probably my biggest highlight of the league so far, that we were able to do that, because it just shows the commitment and the drive that every single player had to win that game.
I think as well is words. I don't want to put words in either of your mouths, but a word you missed there is perhaps character. So I think it shows the character of the team that there's times, and that could be really crucial in a promotion campaign. And I know you've come up against a really strong Real Bedford side this season, a team that, funny enough, when I was coaching in the Beds and Hearts Women's League, a team that I played on, I know the setup down there. It's a really good setup, and the point I'm making is, when that comes to next season, hopefully, the promotion sort of widens up a little bit, because it's so tight, isn't it? You can only really get promoted if you finish first. Is that right? And I think that could improve, or they could at least change that to allow for more teams to be promoted. Is that fair?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think it is always it's difficult that only the top team gets promoted. You almost want even a playoff between across leagues or something, because it's almost you work so hard through the whole season, and then to finish second. Whenever I talk to people that don't know what league I'm playing and stuff, and I say we're second, they always go, "Oh, but you'll get promoted, won't you?" And I'm like, "No, only one goes up." So that's always really difficult, because then when you're finishing second, it looks like hopefully we'll finish at least second this year. If we finish second 2 years in a row, it's almost it's just so difficult to then kind of go again sometimes. And I almost think like a playoff would be good across leagues, I think it would be good for exposure again, like we spoke about anyway, and the drive of the women's game to have a playoff game, because that's excitement in itself.
Exactly.
But I just think it would be nice to see a little bit of a change, because finishing second is actually a big achievement, and then when you feel like you're almost like the first loser, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely think I say that, and then if they change it and we win the league, I'm not sure how I feel about that after.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, as well, I noticed it was at Cambridge City you both played for.
Yeah.
One of my players actually went to Cambridge City a few years ago, so I wonder whether you played in the same team as her, Janice Allen.
No, I don't
know.
No, I don't know.
No, okay. Yeah, obviously, I know there was 2 or 3 teams at the time there, so it might be that she was in the reserves or something. But yeah, it's but no, it's you're right, and I think that's again something that Andy mentioned as well. Is just that sort of promotion window, I guess, is just so. And you're right, a playoff would be so exciting, and I think that's where you start looking at more games at Carrow Road, don't you? Because you know that if you got to a playoff semi-final, if you like, it would be at Carrow Road.
Yeah.
I do think that it kind of starts from the top, because if you look at the Premier League in comparison to the Women's Super League, for example, the number of teams within each of those leagues I think it's almost about half.
Yeah.
So if increasing the number of teams that can be in tier 1 and tier 2 football, and then more teams can then be promoted or relegated from each one. And I think that would kind of balance out a lot more of the kind of close that gap between the two difference of leagues. And obviously they are different, and one's obviously men's football and Premier League, and one's women's and WSL, but actually the game is the same. And obviously men's football has kind of been around for a lot longer, or more established for a lot longer than women's football. And I think the Premier League structure does work. So I think that the way that it's run can kind of come across to women's football. Now it's growing, and now that more clubs are involved, because obviously before potentially the leagues were smaller because there weren't as many women's teams available to kind of fill those leagues, but that's not the case now. Like if you look at our league, like this year was always going to be more difficult because Real Bedford is technically made up of tier 3 players from MK Dons.
Yeah.
You've then got Chatham that are a relegated tier 3 side. You've then got London Bees that are relegated tier 3 side. So actually tier 4 is incredibly competitive, and getting out of that league is really difficult. But actually if for example you did promote 2 or even 3 teams or have that playoffs, it would make tier 3 football a lot more competitive and potentially a lot, like it might increase the number of people coming to games because it would be more competitive.
Yeah, absolutely, and more exciting. I think it's quite odd because I've been reading this book. I don't know if either of you two have read it. It's This Place Is Going Bananas. It's like a history of Norwich City Football Club, and I didn't realise that the leagues back in, like, I think 1920s, 30s and 40s, I think, from memory. Yeah, that they only had one club promoted from the third tier.
Yeah.
Which
in the men's game, right?
In the men's game, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy that it's still in the women's game. It doesn't make sense. When I was reading this book, I was like, how does a team get promoted? How hard do you have to work? But yeah, it's a weird setup.
No, definitely. Ceri, how about you? What's been your favourite moment?
So my favourite moment probably playing for Norwich would probably go back to my first year. The first game we played at Carrow Road, because that in itself was, the first time I've played on it, because obviously a lot of the girls had come through the academy and things, so had different experiences. But for me, just to play at Carrow Road for the first time in front of about 7,500 people, that was amazing. That was definitely a moment I'll never forget. I think everyone was pretty shell shocked because I remember I think it was like 2-2 within the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We were almost like, we were just kind of stunned by how many people were there, the noise, like it was just such a new environment to most of us. I've never been that lucky to play a ground like that in front of so many people. So I think that was definitely probably my favourite moment in a Norwich shirt, and as a group we came back with the win, and it was just such a proud moment for us, and we really felt then that we were part of Norwich City Club as a whole. It felt like our home, and it was just lovely.
Yeah.
And then probably similar, but then my favourite personal moment would be then I was lucky enough that same year we played our County Cup, our Norfolk County Cup final at Carrow Road. And then I was lucky enough to score, and I don't score many goals, so I'm going to have to say that I score only about 4 a year, if that. I think it was only about 2 last year. So and it wasn't. I'm going to say it wasn't a very good goal, but score at Carrow Road, I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, David Nugent's only goal for England was he just tapped it in from the line. So I think you take it, don't you? You got to take it. I mean, I used to work. She doesn't work for the company I work for anymore, but Katie Knights, I used to work with her, and I was talking to her up in the lead up to that game that you were talking about at Carrow Road. I could see how excited she was. And unfortunately, I don't live in Norwich, so I was unable at that time to come and watch it. But you're right. I could see, the passion that she had, and it must have been such a great experience.
Yeah, definitely, because that was the first time as well that we played a league fixture there. It was just so new and so fresh. And I remember the build up. There were so many emotions going through you: excitement, nervous, and like goosebumps going out onto that pitch. And it was just such a good experience. And if anything, like having those experiences earlier on when there was not much pressure for us to win as many games as we have now, because we finished fourth and we were like a mid-table team, and almost you had that freedom to play. It was nice to get those nervous experiences out of the way, because now a lot of the girls are not used to playing there, but obviously playing at a stadium in front of thousands of people, you get nervous and things like that. So I think definitely having that exposure throughout these years, and obviously we're lucky enough to play there again as our last home game. I think we're all now a lot more mentally prepared to play at stadiums like that as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Just on that, do you can you feel the atmosphere as when you're I know you're concentrating on the game, but do you feel it? And that goes to either of you.
Yeah, I can definitely. I think as well, because obviously it's a stadium, it feels you're really enclosed in. So I just feel like I caught myself before the game just looking around. Like, you have to take it all in. I think sometimes it's important to actually take it in, kind of look at everyone around you rather than trying to ignore it. Because I think if you ignore it, you will end up taking it in and getting sidetracked and distracted and things like that. So I think it's important to actually just take a minute, just see how many people are there, what's going on, and then you get into game mode. Because I think it is so difficult to get, like I said, the first game we played there, I think it was 2-2 within 15 minutes, because I genuinely think everyone was just so on edge and didn't know what to do and kind of forgot how to play football for the first 10 minutes. Because we were just not used to it. And I remember the team we played, Ashford, they don't have a particularly big following, so they weren't used to it either. So it was definitely a new thing for both teams, and I think it was definitely a moment to remember. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm just smiling because I'm just like, I couldn't imagine how exciting that must have been. Did you sleep that night with very well?
No, I think because you have so much adrenaline through you.
Yeah.
And I think also I'm awful at Will always tries to tell me off, but I have so many gels and so much caffeine and energy at half time. I sometimes can't sleep, and I remember for the cup final, obviously it's an evening kickoff, and I said to the girls I was up till 2 a.m. because I had so many gels and caffeine, and because I don't drink coffee regularly, I just think I was buzzing, I was on a high, I was like, I couldn't sleep because I was just so happy.
Yeah, I'm quite caffeine sensitive myself. Those gels that you talk about, they like energy gels.
Yeah, they're energy gels, and I think you're only meant to have one, and I always have two. I'm having the Lucozade, and then I'm having sweets, and it's probably not actually. I probably shouldn't be saying this, but because I try and cut my caffeine intake down. But I just love it. It's probably even more psychological than I realised, but I do like a gel, and then I'm really bad that I always put an extra one or two in my bag and take them home in case I need them. And then if we get to a game, and sometimes everyone wear the gels, and sometimes if Will's left them on the bus, it's like, I'm all right because I've got my emergency supply.
Amazing. I can imagine this you've got a little bomb bag of all these energy gels.
Yeah, I have. I actually have got a little secret stash. And then we had, even at training last week, there was a box of Lucozade gels, Lucozades and water, and everyone was taking the Lucozades, and I was like, give me the gels because I'm taking them home.
Because I used to do a lot of long distance road cycling. So you'd be on the bike, 60, 70 miles, and you'd have I remember the Science and Sport gels were in my sort of things on the back that I would wear. They taste awful, so I don't know how you do it.
Well, see, these ones are quite nice. They just taste like cowpole, these ones. I actually quite like them. Quite a lot of the girls don't like them and won't have them, but more for me, I'd say, so I don't really mind.
Yeah, the Lucozade ones we have are really nice. They taste just like orange sweets.
Yeah. So
I didn't expect you to say these things. On that note, who's the biggest joker in the dressing room, and what's the funniest thing they've done?
We had a conversation about this, and we kind of agree that it has to be Toddy.
Right.
She doesn't mean to be a joker. She doesn't mean to be funny, I don't think. And if she listens to this and she is trying to be funny, I'm sorry, Toddy. But she does try to dance, and she tries to learn all the I'm going to sound old, but kind of the young hip dances and TikTok dances that she tries. And she just gives so much energy in the changing room that it is utterly comical.
Brilliant. And she's captain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you got to I suppose you got to have that level of dancing ability to be captain of any team, haven't you?
Her dancing ability is not great, but I agree with what Lowell said. She's just some of the stuff she does, I'm just like, what are you even trying to do? Because she doesn't have any rhythm, but that's just why we love it, to be fair. She's very popular amongst the girls, but she's definitely probably the funniest one in the change room, I think, because I'm always like the last to get ready. It takes me, for some reason, like half an hour to put my shin pads on, but because everyone is normally ready and dancing, I'm normally just sitting down, finishing getting ready, and I sometimes just look up at her and think, what is she even doing? But she does put a smile on everyone's faces. And then I'd probably say Hope's quite funny, but as long as she's not on the music, because her music taste is awful. But I'd say probably Hope is also a funny one. She will make everyone laugh, Hope will.
That's amazing. But I mean, just before we jump into the last question, because we need to leave time for Morgan's random question of the week, which you'll both absolutely love. So I assume you play a bit of music pre-match. What's the go-to song? Then what song gets played every week?
The song that I think we all play every week and dance to as a team is embarrassingly the Cupid Shuffle.
Right.
Everyone gets up, everyone dances, and it just gets us ready for the game. And I think everyone knows that that's the song that we play just before we go out. But Toddy is slowly converting that song into Taylor Swift Bad Blood.
Yes, he is.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, we'll use that as we always use a song for the promos for the pods, so that'll be the one we use. So that's thanks for that. I guess finally then, which teammate would be the most likely to go on a reality TV show, and which show would it be?
Oh dear. Jez.
I knew my answer straight away for this one, and it is Ceri. And Ceri has this amazing obsession with Deal or No Deal.
Oh, superb.
Oh,
so
she's out with me.
I'm picking Ceri, and it's got to be Deal or No Deal.
Oh, that's amazing. That's the sort of thing that we like to sort of take those sort of ideas and put them into action. So don't be surprised if we ask Alex if we can come and do a Deal or No Deal NCFC Women special.
I am obsessed with it, and that's probably because I have too much time on my hands. You know, people say students are really busy, but I'm yet to find one that's actually that busy. But probably because I have just too much time on my hands. But it actually came to a point where, like, if I was away for a couple of days, I'd have to record it and then watch it, skip through the breaks. But I think, it's actually quite embarrassing when you think about it. Like, I'm 22 and I'm obsessed with Deal or No Deal, but I just love it. But I'd say my reality show, I have too much time on my hand. All I do is watch TV, it sounds like. Yeah. I love The Traitors, and I just think it would be funny to put someone like Hope on it, because I just don't think anyone would ever guess what she's doing, because half the time I have no idea what she's doing. But mine would probably be Hope for The Traitors.
Oh, amazing. That's brilliant.
If you're ever lucky or unlucky enough to meet her, she's a personality and a half. She is.
Fantastic. Right, Morgan.
So quickly, would it be Noel Edmonds or is it Stephen Mulhern? Which one's your favourite?
Stephen Mulhern.
Okay.
Because I also love the show he does In for a Penny. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a great show.
Yeah, it is. I love him. I think he's so funny.
100%. Morgan, and you've got to sing the theme tune, please.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Random question of the week. Get worse every week. Right. I think I know the answer to. Ceri's answer already. But say if you get promoted and everyone's having a great time, and Andy's so generous to have laid out a banquet for you both. What would be your what are they called? What would be your naughty treat of choice? That goes to Lauren first of all.
I don't know. I kind of want it to just be like a Sunday roast buffet. Like, basically, I just want him to put on a carvery, if I'm honest.
Is Andy doing the carvery?
I don't know if he's a good cook. Like, I want it to be decent.
If he listens to this. Also, so what would be your selection of choice then? Nut loaf, beef, chicken?
Oh, absolutely not a nut loaf. Sorry for all the vegetarians out there. No, it's got to be beef, and it's like literally every trimming. So like the Brussels sprouts with the bacon and like the garlic cheese, the roasted parsnips, roasted carrots, the pigs and blankets, red cabbage, cauliflower cheese. Literally just throw it all on.
You've got it made. So there. I will plug this place, and you should all go there as well. The Railway Arms in North Elmham does one of the best roasts I've had ever. So get yourself down there.
I'll bear that in mind. I might actually.
It's really good. It's really good. Ceri, gels.
Oh, great. I've already got enough of them in my bag, so I wouldn't need any of them. I'd probably just go for like an ice cream sundae. I actually love. It's actually really bad because, again, when you think of what I should be eating protein and carbohydrates. But I'm a bit of a ice cream lover, so I say an ice cream sundae or a thick shake. I do love a bit of dairy, but I'm doing no chocolate for Lent actually, so I'm doing quite well with that.
That's good. No sorbet then?
No, oh god, no, it has to be creamy ice cream.
Although a peanut butter and chocolate milkshake from Five Guys is elite.
Yeah.
There are other burger establishments that do milkshakes as well. We have to say these things. Cool. What about you, Jez? What would you have if you got promoted?
If I got promoted, I would probably go down there to the local Indian, to be honest, and just literally go for absolutely everything on the menu.
Okay.
I'm trying to organise a team curry night because when in the off season the girls try and go like out, and I'm like, I just want to go for a curry and a glass of wine. That's all I want. Just trying to go down a pop world, and I just want a curry night.
Yeah, Ali Tandoori for me. It's got to be. That's one of my favourite ones in Norwich. But yeah, no, 100% an Indian. Morgan, what about you?
Just some Ravita.
Ravita. Philadelphia.
That's too much. I'm trying to watch it. You know, I'm 40, so I have to be careful.
Fair enough. I guess if I think it was Tomo that said it, at 22 she feels old. If at 40 you must feel.
Yeah, I feel like that.
Tomo is not 22. Just want to point that out. That's me. Tomo 26.
Really?
Right.
the ripe old age.
You're only as young as you feel.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been really fun. If you just like to plug your game at Carrow Road, just for all our listeners.
When is it? It's the 27th. I'm awful with dates. It's the 27th of April.
Yep.
2:00 kickoff against QPR. So it'll be a good game. It's definitely going to be an entertaining one. So get down to Carrow Road and support us would be amazing.
Thank you so much, and we'll hopefully be in attendance. So we'd love to meet you in person as well. And best of luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having us on. It's been brilliant.
No worries. Thanks for coming on.
I've been Jez Davies.
I've been Morgan Hewitt.
You have to say who you are.
Oh.
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Barclay. Thanks so much for listening. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. You can also catch all our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you've got any questions, stories, or topics you'd like us to cover, get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, on the ball, City.